Next up, I would like to introduce a very special guest who's going to talk to us about realizing the open web in action. I would love to introduce Johan Ruis of NEARWEEK. Let's give a big round of applause, everybody.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. So, I think it's an honor to be able to speak on the hacker stage because I'm surrounded by a lot of gigabrains, but I'm here representing an open web-based media outlet, NEARWEEK. So, I'll spend this presentation focusing on a couple of things. The first is having the opportunity to speak on the hacker stage. I want to focus on how a media outlet can help present both projects, founders, and developers um, in the in the Near ecosystem, but just in the open web in general. And the second thing is I would like to offer a perspective on how NEARWEEK has been able to use and leverage a lot of the products that are currently being built in the Near ecosystem and find genuine use cases for them, right? I think that's always one of the critical things when we're building something, and that is to see how can it be used and how can projects in the ecosystem leverage the near tech stack to its fullest capabilities. And that's what I'm here to present. So let's see how this clicker works. Um, it is not working. There we go. Okay, so what is NEARWEEK? NEARWEEK is a near-centered media outlet in the ecosystem. Um, we both um, we both activate and present projects, but our core focus has been continually to support projects and founders within the ecosystem on a continual basis. So this is something that we have done with our newsletter, the core product, but that newsletter is attached to one of the most active DAOs in the Near ecosystem as well. And so we have both a curation process, but also an aggregation process where we're able to successfully leverage the near tech stack to scale up our processes beyond what is possible. Because we're still a small team at our heart, but we're able to actually, in a transparent way, get community participation and have our newsletter be an aggregated version of collected data by the community. So community is the core focus I want to talk about. It's a buzzword in our ecosystem together with a few of them. But what does it mean in practice, right? So I want to focus on NEARWEEK as a community platform and what we're able to do for developers within the ecosystem, both projects and founders. I think there's two core focuses when we talk about impact, right? It is both on-the-ground impact that we've seen near leverage within regional hubs and so far, but it is also within like ETH events, hackathons, and then there is the social media-based impact. You'll see like um, our near social page in the background, and that leverages like both the newsletter, it leverages our Twitter profile, and then on-the-ground impacts where we help cover like these dev-related events. I think those are the two core avenues that measure community-based impact when we talk about developers in the ecosystem. So here's our core product that we've had. It's the newsletter. We've been sort of leveling up our tech stack, both with the help of artists within the ecosystem, but also AI, since it looks like Near is going back to its AI-based roots. But what I want to focus on, the core product here, is actual genuine community engagement and representation, right? I think it's something that Near has fundamentally struggled with as a whole. We've often seen people complain that, this and that entity doesn't represent the Near ecosystem, Near doesn't have community or whatnot. Well, NEARWEEK is here to prove that wrong. We have our newsletter that is aggregated via community input on the DAO. We are able to then, when we distribute that on a weekly basis, actually represent the core practices that are being held within the community, right? So there is a centralized project process of curation, but that ensures quality is maintained. And it allows us to, for example, have Lisbon featured on last week's newspaper, the DApp library when Pagoda released its DApp library on the 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, focused on like the fast art SDK that got announced, And this is how we're able to, via curation and community aggregation, we're able to actually represent the NEAR community in a very accurate manner. And I feel this is something that has been hard to do. It's something why I'm very interested to be at the hacker stage as well, because it is both using and leveraging the NEAR tech stack to talk about the NEAR tech stack. And so even though I'm not a hacker at heart, it is something that is quite interesting to talk about and share our perspective at NEARWEEK. So we are able to both house and merge talent within the ecosystem, such as our collaborations with the artist Lomican, right? Um, Together with like, AI, with dev stuff, with dev related news, and be able to merge them all. And I think that is something that community at its core is, right? It's not, you've often heard buzzwords such as NFT community or DeFi community that is just there for, like a quick buck. But what is actual community representation? And I think it covers multiple faceted processes, right? And it's an ability to merge that, I think, gives an accurate picture of the NEAR community. And that's what at NEARWEEK we aim to do at our core hearts. We're here to support your project within the ecosystem, and we're here to both educate people about the NEAR ecosystem. And the true way to do that is to talk about the community at heart and have them actually help us enhance our own products on all levels in our tech stack. So next I want to talk about NEARWEEK as a media platform. I've talked about community impact, right? The community impact both on the ground via helping out at EAT events, social impact via our newsletter. Next I want to talk about how we're able to leverage the open web tech stack that NEAR has created to enhance our media output. So NEARWEEK as a media platform, um, we're in the process of launching our own BOS, our homepage on the blockchain operating system. Um, this is quite often has been the case for numerous projects within the ecosystem. But what I think makes it special is that the BOS allows us actually to leverage multiple parts in the Web3 based tech stack to enhance what is, in essence, a Web2 product, right? You think a media platform is like a Web2 native product, but we're able to actually identify core Web3 aspects that we're able to enhance our processes as a Web2 platform. And I think that's very interesting because it highlights the fact that potentially other media outlets out there can actually use Web3 fundamentally to enhance our core value. So what do I mean with that? Well, actually, let's see if I can go back one step. So you'll see multiple widgets here, like our newsletter widgets and whatnot. But what we would also have able to integrate here is, for example, our DAO widget, right? So when I talked about community participation on the same page, in our in the NEARWEEK tech stack, what I mean is the BOS allows us actually to leverage Web3 native components, for example, to enhance our Web2 products, right? So content. This is sort of another side of NEARWEEK and what we've done so far. Quite often you'll see, like news outlets like CoinDesk and Cointelegraph and whatnot cover the NEAR ecosystem around major announcements. But these are quite often major announcements in nature, right? So what we aim to do is we aim to both provide content that talks about the NEAR tech stack as a whole, and this means also initiatives that may be too small to fall under the radar of like a big media outlet like CoinDesk, but it also is like an archival nature, right? We want to be the one place where people can both learn about the ecosystem, also be redirected to places to learn. So, for example, these are just 3 banners of like content we've written so far, but I think it gives a pretty good overview of how we're able to successfully represent the NEAR ecosystem. All the way in the back, we had a blog post that NEAR intern wrote for us, further delving it deeper into the blockchain operating system. And we're able to successfully show how, shortly after the announcement, when not much was known about the BOS, where we could sort of go from here with that. We have a Polygon zkAVM one when the dashboard launched that we did in partnership together with Sun, who you may have seen on Twitter. He does quite cool content. But that's a DeFi-based blog post, right? And there were not a lot of media outlets that covered the Polygon zkAVM partnership. Then we have here, for example, the collab. It's kind of meta, right? But like the collab that NEARWEEK did with Pagoda, where we have like our own widget on the homepage. But we've also been able to cover like other smaller updates, such as like the fast auth, the SDK, and whatnot. And being able to sort of delve into that as a media outlet, I think is quite valuable in nature. So I think that is high impact because we're very niche in that regard. So now I want to talk about how we're able to enhance that Web 2 based process, right, via using the leveraging the open web stack, because that's what we're here to talk about, and why I'm so happy to be able to talk on the hacker stage. So we've been able to, yeah, I think like we posted a blog post on Medium, right, and Ilya commented like, "Why is this not on the bus?" Right, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, like cool." We're trying to talk about we're trying to educate people about what we're doing in the near ecosystem, but he did sort of have a point, right? And it made us think at NEARWEEK, and so we made that a core part of our process. And together with Robert Jan, who he does quite a bit of development work at Pagoda, I think MetaWeb too. He's been able to help us successfully migrate the blog post process to the bus, because I think something that, for example, like Ilya would say would be like, well, you can already put blog posts on the bus, right? We've seen like Foundation put their blog posts on the bus, but I think to successfully, as a media publication, utilize an editor and publish posts on the bus, it needs to meet some requirements, right? To give an example, we need to be able to edit the post after it's published. We need to be able to have like our own control over like hyperlinks, over like graphic display, over infograph display. And these are fundamental processes that we're able to just identify as a web, like as a media platform, able to identify that we need to make an editor successful, right? Because we can't be talking about like, let's say one NFT marketplace that then sort of abandons the ecosystem, right? If we have a blog post on that, we need to be able to update it and continually maintain accuracy within the ecosystem. It needs to be usable, it needs to be functional, and it needs to look good. So where can we go from here? Well, by able to for with NEARWEEK to have identified like the core processes that make a functional editor possible for blog posts. So these blog posts are posted natively on the bus using the editor. We actually would require some feedback. Like we've been working on this together with Robert Jan, but soon we'll probably be able to publish the links and get some community feedback around this. It'd be very cool to see some other media outlets and projects within the ecosystem leverage the editor that we've scoped together to be able to put their own content natively on the bus. But where we're able to sort of go from here is now we've identified this core process, right? We can actually identify ways to scale it up quite effectively, because we've identified a sort of product market fit, like a real genuine use case, right? Which is now we're able to have these blog posts that are not actually part of any centralized service, right? So they're not reliant on any centralized service, and we're able to, in a composable way, if you saw the homepage in the beginning, right, the NEARWEEK homepage on the bus, integrate them. So what do I mean with that? Well, you can imagine that now we're able to easily, now we have a native blog post on the bus, we're easily able to make that like an iframe component, right? And then have you, for example, click on a blog post on near.org or on another gateway, and without ever having to leave that gateway, able to browse native content. And that is just a better user experience, right? Than having to open like a separate Medium tab, be directed with like a sign up to Medium here, closing all these notifications, signing away your data by, accepting all these EU regulations. Um, we're able to do that, and that is a better open web-based experience. And I think that's also what Ilya highlighted in his talk, right? Users, they don't care about is it on the bus. They care about does it offer a better open web-based experience. And I think this does. But both from a user engagement side, but also from a builder side of people sort of posting their native content on the bus. Because where we're able to go from here is sort of enhance this core product with an like RSS feed integration with Medium, for example, where on our side at NEARWEEK, we can keep on posting like our native content on Medium, just because it's like a seamless UX, and then that gets automatically transposed to native content on the bus. So both from like a posting side as a publisher, a media outlet, we're able to enhance our own core processes. We're able to enhance user engagement by sort of having iframes in the composable nature of the boss. We're able to enhance that browsing experience. And that is sort of how we're able to leverage the tech stack of Near while talking about the tech stack of Near. So I'm sort of reaching the end of my presentation. I was given 15 minutes, but I just wanted to have the core highlights be community impact, right? And how NEARWEEK as a media platform is able to actually find genuine use cases of a lot of the products that we're building here in the ecosystem while talking about this. So we've been able to work with some of our close partners, right? Like Pagoda, as you saw with the homepage widget, Near Foundation, who has been very kind to also help us like streamline a bit more of the announcements. They've been a pleasure to work with. Proximity, when it comes to relating to like the DeFi content around the ecosystem, but also sort of helping like these projects that quite often with DeFi we find come from external Web3 based ecosystems and help connect them within projects within the Near ecosystem, right, to find their ground. And Near DevHub, which everyone here probably knows, right? They've been doing an incredible job, and it's been a pleasure also to help work with them and sort of act as a media arm representing the developer community within the Near ecosystem. So as a final call to action, it would be, I think in all our core processes where we talk about content on the bus, we talk about content on Near, it is both also leveraging the Near tech stack, and I think our Shardog partnership that actually allows you to collect every weekly newsletter that we do as an time-based NFT is a core example of this. So my last call to action would be to subscribe to the newsletter, but I would offer, I would go a bit more in depth here and say, how can we ever actually measure impact, right? I think impact has been a core focus of where we're heading as the Near ecosystem, and I've sort of shown where that could go with like the RSS feed integration of the Medium content on the bus. But where could this simple collecting of an NFT go for actual impact, right? Well, this is just, it's not work in progress at the moment. It's more just a thought I'd like to end my presentation on. But it is, for example, a core thing we've seen the Near ecosystem, I think, struggle with is how can we measure an actively engaged wallet or user within the ecosystem, right? How can we measure like proof of participation within the ecosystem? There's a lot of like barriers within that, right? For example, do we measure transaction volume? It's very easy to game. Do we measure the amount of NEAR you hold or like the amount of funds you hold? Well, this is also skews the metric, right? And I think also you don't want to give like early adopters the biggest benefit over this. But because we have like a time-based partnership that we do like with the Shardog tech stack, where we have a different newsletter every week on a weekly basis that people claim every week as like a, like a photo album, a snapshot representing the Near ecosystem. Well, you can imagine a future where that could be one of the core metrics to provide proof of participation within the ecosystem, right? It's a very genuine use case because it's time-based and it doesn't require any funds from users. So this is like something that I've been thinking of personally. I think it's one of the less controversial means to measure proof of participation, but it's something that we at NEAR are very interested to explore. It's like how can we leverage the NEAR tech stack and further it using our core processes. So the last call to action, like I said, would be subscribe to the newsletter. Reach out to us if you need any support for your products. You can always submit news via DAO. You can always reach out to us if you need to connect with someone in the ecosystem. If you're not sure where to go with the ecosystem with your project as a startup, we're always able to sort of help connect you. And so do reach out to us. And we're here as a community platform, but most importantly, we're here to represent what is actually the NEAR community. And that's a multifaceted face, but we're proud to, we're proud to represent that on a daily basis. So thank you very much.